So let us start with the eyes. So here is the outermost layer of the eye. Eyes have three layers. The outermost layer is known as sclera. This is a single layer. Okay, the single layer. The same sclera is white, fibrous tissue. It is not transparent. Okay, but when this same sclera layer comes in front of the eye, the same layer becomes transparent, and in the front portion of the eye it is known as cornea. These are the eyelids, eyebrows. This is at the back of the eye, which is in the socket, and this is the front part which is visible. So at the back of the eyes, the first layer is sclera, which is white and fibrous tissue, and this same layer continues in the front and comes in the front part to become transparent, and it forms the cornea. So what is cornea? Cornea is the continuation of sclera in the front part of the eye, which is transparent, and it acts as a protective layer. And sclera is the outermost white fibrous tissue which protects the eyes. These are the definitions of these two. Now outside the cornea, we have an extra protective layer. Here we have an extra protective layer which is only on the front part of the eye, which is not in the back. Like sclera, sclera is also in the back of the eye, but this layer is not in the back, it is only in the front visible part of the eye, and also it is also transparent. This is known as, the outermost layer is known as conjunctiva. This is an extra protection. It turns red during conjunctivitis. Now we have completed the first layer, and let us come to the second layer. This second layer is known as choroid layer. It is the only layer that contains blood vessels. Why it contains blood vessels? It is for the nourishment of the eye. The nourishment is the keyword. It provides oxygen to the eye, because eye is also an organ and it needs oxygen to work properly. But the sclera is devoid of blood vessels. It does not contain any blood vessel. It just serves as a protection. The main function of sclera is protection of the eye. That is why it is white, fibrous and tough. Whereas choroid layer, it contains blood vessels, and it also contains melanin, which prevents scattering of the light ray when it enters. I'll explain it in later. And this choroid layer continues to form this structure. Similarly, in the bottom, it forms the mountain-like structures, and further it will continue to form a nib-like structure. And similarly, from the top, it will continue to form a nib-like structure. So this same thing, this is a sideways view of the eye, but if it is viewed from the front, it will appear like this hole. This hole will appear like this. It is the front part of the eye, and this nib-like part is actually this circular disc. Now what are the name of these parts? The back side is known as choroid. This choroid continues to form ciliary body. This muscle is known as ciliary body. So what is ciliary body? It is a continuation of the choroid layer in the front, which holds the suspensory ligament. Okay, I'll first explain the suspensory ligament, and then I'll tell. So this is ciliary body, and this is known as iris, and this whole here is known as pupil. So this is ciliary body, this is iris, and this hole is known as pupil. This is the hole through which the light rays enter. And this iris either makes the hole small or big, depending on the light, depending on the light source, how much light is there. So from this ciliary body, some thread-like structures arises, both from the top and both from the down. White arises because here is the lens, a biconcave lens. To hold the lens in this mid-air position, these suspensory ligament arises from the ciliary body. What are these? These are suspensory ligament. What is the main function of suspensory ligament? It holds the lens in position. And what is the main function of ciliary body? It is a continuation of the choroid layer, and it from it arises a suspensory ligament which holds the lens in position, and with this ciliary body it can adjust the shape of the lens. Why shape of the lens? Because when the lens is biconcave, to see objects in the shorter distance, so that when light rays enter, they can curve in a shorter distance. This is a distance in a shorter distance. But when the objects are very far, it the these ligaments, the ciliary body contracts and it pulls the ligament, and the lens become flat, like flat. The lens squeezes, so it becomes like this. So that when the light rays enters, it the light these two rays converge at a bigger distance. Like this is a small distance, this is a flattening of the lens causes bigger distance to see objects which are far away, and this is to see objects in the shorter distance. So that is why ciliary body uses the suspensory ligament to adjust the shape of the lens. So I have told the function of the ciliary body, the suspensory ligament, and also to the lens, that is to receive the light rays and to converge them and create this that is to converge the light rays. And what is the function of the iris? What is iris? Iris is a ring like muscular organ or muscular structure which is a continuation of the ciliary body. It adjusts the length of the pupil. It adjusts the length of the pupil. And now why and how it adjusts the length of the pupil? When there is a lot of light, when it is a very bright light source and a lot of light is there, so the hole becomes small, so that only some light enters, and it does not damage or pressurize the retina. And when there is very less light, suppose a dark room with a dim source of light, that times these holes become bigger. That is the iris contract and the hole become bigger. That is the hole, that is the pupil become bigger, so that all the light rays, so that more all light rays can enter. Now let us come to the last layer. This last layer is known as retina. Why is it so important? The retina is important because it contains iodopsin and rhodopsin. This is the rod cells. This is the cone cells. This is for bright light, and this is for dim light. Okay. The retina contains these two chemicals, iodopsin and rhodopsin, which creates the sensation of hearing. When there is bright light, cone cells are active, and when there is dim light, the rod cells are more active. So that is how they both work to provide the sensation of hearing. So this is all the function of the retina. What is retina? It is the innermost layer, and it contains two chemicals, iodopsin and rhodopsin, which helps in the sensation of seeing things. Now inside the retina there is vitreous humor, and here this blank space we have aqueous humor, and here we have vitreous humor. Now what is the function of this aqueous humor? This aqueous humor keeps the lens moist and also it refract lights. This is like a concave structure, it forming a concave structure, so when light rays enters it, the aqueous humor refracts the light. And what is the function of the vitreous humor? It helps in keeping the shape of the eyeball. Vitreous humor is a jelly like substance in the which in the eyes, which help in keeping the shape of the eyeball. It also protects the retina and the nerve endings. Retina also contains a lot of nerve endings. Okay, so nerves, so they can carry the impulse, because it is the layer which creates the sensation of seeing things. Now there are two very important terms. Before that, let me tell you one thing. This rod cells. This rod cell is mainly in the periphery. This is the peripheral region. Periphery vision, like the side. We are not concentrating on this, but we can see the things. Suppose you look forward, but you can still see the things which are on your right and left. So that is due to the rod cells. And the place where you look is cone cells, which is the area of bright vision, which is the center part. Here center is mostly cone cells, and at the periphery there is rod cells, which is responsible for peripheral vision. Whereas the cone cells, this iodopsin is for the best vision. And uh, there are two spots. One is the yellow spot known as macula lutea, which is the area of best vision, which is somewhere in the cone cell region. This is the area of best vision. And from the eyes, there is an from the eyes a sensory nerve arises, which carries the impulse to the brain. So the point where this sensory nerve arises, this point, there is no rod cells and cone cells. That is why this is the area of blind spot. The point from where the sensory nerve arises, this is the blind spot. Here we do not have rod cells or cone cells. That is why we cannot see in this point. Now let us see how the light will enter. Suppose here is a pencil. So light from the source. This is the source. So the light from the source will come, will refract from the body. It will come straight. The iris will regulate the amount of light entering. It will allow the light to enter, and it will also refract here. But let me show only the refraction in the lens. It will refract and hit the retina. Another light ray will enter and it will hit the retina here. That is almost near the yellow spot or the area of best vision or macula lutea. Now here the rhodopsin, or the, sorry, not rhodopsin, the cone cells or the iodopsin chemical is very sensitive to light rays. So this sensation is converted to nerve impulse and it travels through this sensory nerve to the brain, and it creates a sensation of hearing. Now in the choroid layer, I have said that melanin is also there along with blood vessels. So why melanin is there? Because it prevents the scattering of light in the eyeball. Now if the melanin was not there, how the light would have scattered? Like here is the direction of the light, enter here and then here. So this type of scattering would take place. And this also ray, this ray also, this will scatter here. So to prevent this scattering, melanin is there. It absorbs the light, so that retina, the chemicals in retina can which are sensitive to this light, can convert that to impulse. That is the diagram, and we have finished the entire eye portion.